Chat with Traders, episode 100.
This is your key to the minds of trading's elite performers, those who profit in relentless markets. Here on the Chat with Traders podcast, you'll hear about the skill sets and tactics that lead winning traders to win, so you can level up and become a better trader. Here's your host, Aaron Fifield.
Hey guys, this episode is backed by the award-winning online broker TradeStation. Traders who trade with TradeStation enjoy access to many markets and products, cost-saving commission rates, and professional support. Traders are also spoiled with a wide range of analysis and market monitoring tools for both active hand traders and those who utilize automation. To learn more about TradeStation, simply visit tradestation.com. Well, here we are, traders, episode 100 of the Chat with Traders podcast. Triple digits, it's a century. Wow. With that, I have to say, whether this is your first time listening right now, or if you've listened to every single episode 3 times over, I genuinely want to say thank you. And I appreciate you for supporting this podcast. It's certainly been a journey this far, and I feel as though things are really just beginning to warm up. Now, my guest for this special milestone is someone who I've been trying to bring on since before episode 1 was even released. But persistence has paid off. So folks, I'd like to introduce you to Bao, or maybe better known as Modern Rock on Twitter. Bao is an independent day trader who made the large majority of his fortune trading penny stocks on the OTC bulletin board market. Before trading, he was a software engineer in Silicon Valley, but I won't say too much more about his backstory because we discuss his early days when he encountered much adversity at length during the first part of this interview. Following on from this, we talk about the biggest trade of Bao's career, discovering your own niche, managing confidence, consistency tips, how to progress as a developing trader, and heaps more, as you can imagine. Lastly, if you do like this episode and you haven't already done so, please leave a review in iTunes. Just go to chatwithtraders.com/iTunes and follow the simple steps. It's a quick and easy way to show your support for this free podcast, and it helps big time. Anyway, guys, without any further delay, I'm your host, Aaron Fifield, and for episode 100 of the Chat with Traders podcast, please welcome Bao, aka Modern Rock.
In my opinion, what the most valuable thing that people are missing is the mindset of like, you know what, man, it's a process. It's not just jumping in and learning how to freaking short a stock or, trade a parabolic. It's just, you got to set your life up a certain way. Otherwise, you'll fail. That's my opinion.
All right, man. Well, let's just start off. Let's go way back, way back. I know you were born in Vietnam. You moved to the United States. What was that like for you? Let's just start right there.
Oh, this is before the immigration of any Asian. So this is like 1980. When I moved here, it was in Oregon. I was the only Asian in the whole school. The other minority was one black guy in my class named Ray Ray, and me and him happened to be friends. So this Asian kid, me, and Ray Ray were the only 2 minorities in a school in Oregon where it's completely white. So, right off the start, it was just, I already was having bullies and all that stuff. So, right, and so you basically either have to grow a thick skin or get into a lot of fights and get thrown out of school. So I decided, I'm going to suck it up and make it my effort to say, you know what, screw you. I'm going to grow up one day and be your boss. So that was my whole thinking throughout my childhood growing up. My whole thing was study hard, work my ass off, and they don't know who the hell I am. You can beat me up all you want, but one day I'm going to be your boss and you're going to come and beg me for a job. So that was my mentality growing up. And actually it did. I seen some people like also, I remember you from high school. I'll go, screw you. You used to pick on me. Now you're coming and begging me for a job. So, that was like basically every immigrant's dream, So I have a lot of friends that either join a gang or get into fights. I just decided just to stick to myself, physically get beat up once in a while. But then, I studied hard, became a nerd, and then I'm talking to you.
Sure. So why did your parents decide to make that move from Vietnam? And what was that like? Was that a tough move to make, like, for them? Like, I don't really know what your situation was like.
Well, this is Vietnam, so during the war and all that stuff. So I don't want to get into too much of it, but it was like during the Vietnam War and all that stuff. So it was basically like very, very similar to how it is now with Trump and all that stuff. So that's why I'm very adamant about it online, because like, you know, if they stopped immigration from Vietnam, I wouldn't be here. And everyone now is like, oh, you know, you got it made. You're living the American dream. But it's like, it's a long process. And, you know, you can't discriminate. Not everybody's a bad person, you know. Everyone comes to America looking for an opportunity. It's not just America. It could be anywhere. I would have been successful in Vietnam, too. You know, it doesn't matter where I am. It's based on you. But the fact is, you know what? There's a lot of innocent people, good people, and then they're not all bad just because they can't speak your language, right?
Totally. So what was life like sort of after school? Maybe walk us through that bit.
Well, I moved to California, which was a kind of culture shock from Oregon when I was probably in the 4th grade. And, you know, I pretty much stuck to myself. I was kind of a weird kid because, you know, you're always feeling different and you're the only minority all the time. So I actually skipped a grade, so that made it even worse. Because I guess they thought I was bored. I wasn't bored. I was just didn't have any friends. I stuck to myself. So, you know, so then they advanced me 1 grade up. And so, I don't know, I was just going to school, just being a normal kid who's trying to fit in.
Right. And did you go to college or like study anything after school?
Yeah, I went to UC Davis. So this is a very interesting story too. So I got into a bunch of different schools for engineering. And I actually got into UC Berkeley. So I'll tell you how I got into. So this is an interesting segue into how I got into trading. So I was an engineer, and I got accepted to all the schools I applied to. And so when I graduated college, there's different levels of discrimination. Okay, if you have no college education, you can only be so far. But then I had a good college education. I went to UC Davis, which is a good school here for engineering. But then it was a different level of discrimination. I wanted to get a really high-ranking job when I graduated. And over here is all based upon what school you go to. Did you go to Ivy League? Did you go, you know? So I did get into some of the top schools. Like I got into Berkeley, but I didn't go because as an immigrant, no one told me that was a good school back then. I didn't know. I went to a really horrible high school, so no one told me how to prepare for this. So this is, you know, and so they rejected me from all these jobs. So I had one job offer coming out of college. Remember, this is all relative, right? So other people that didn't go to school go, wow, you had a good job. But for me, it's like, dude, I worked my ass off, and no one would accept me because I was discriminated because I was a minority and I didn't go to the top schools. And so basically, I was discriminated being not going through a top school. So I said, screw this. So I was like, you know, I did engineering for like a bunch of years, and I just felt like they were not advancing me because I didn't go to, let's say, Ivy League school, right? And so I moved to New York for work. I quit my job, and then everyone was starting doing day trading. So then I started doing day trading. The reason I did that because, you know what, I was fed up with my job where they were discriminating me upon, you know, all this stuff. So if I had went to an Ivy League, which I got into as well, you know, I would have been so easygoing, would have been complacent. So this is the whole thing about America. Once you're complacent, you really don't want to try and do something different or try to advance yourself, you know, because it's too easy. So the reason why I kept trying and trying is because nothing was easy for me growing up. If it was so easy for me, I would be such a lazy kid. I wouldn't do anything. I would have got a cushy job being an engineer, you know. But the fact is, I had to bust my butt all the time. It made me realize, you know what, man, I could do better than this. And so therefore, I went to trading because everyone was doing it and I liked it.
Cool, man. Well, a couple things. Why did you choose engineering over everything else you could have gone for?
Because as an Asian kid, you got a choice between engineering, law school, or being a doctor. And engineering was the least of the education I needed.
Right, that's funny. So, you know, that's a good point you bring up about people, you know, having it too easy, being too comfortable. What would you say to someone who's maybe in that kind of mindset, living like that, wants to go further, but just kind of lacks that motivation? What do you think needs to change in their mind to be able to push forward?
Well, they need to hit rock bottom. They need to have some sort of adversity, right? There comes a time where when too easy, it's like something's going to happen to your life and you don't know how to deal with it. And that's when, like let's say your parents always gave you an allowance. My mom never gave me an allowance. I had to work my ass off, get to school and go get a job, And so imagine if your mom cut you off. Now you're like, oh crap, I never had a job in my life. What am I supposed to do? So now you face adversity. So the sooner you realize that, you know what, man, it's like instead of having to face adversity to learn from it, you can circumvent it. Like be proactive instead of reactive, right? And so it's very tough as a kid, though, to teach someone like this. But if you're older, you can understand. Like you don't have to hit rock bottom before you realize, that your life is going to be going to hell.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it is kind of refreshing to have a failure like that because then you've sort of got nothing else to lose and you've just got like the only way you can go from that point on is upwards.
And that's why I think that was the reason that got my trading career successful. Because when I started trading, how I got trading was like I had a good job. So I was doing software stuff. And I was making a lot of money. I was making like $250,000 a year back then, which is a huge amount of money today, inflation, right? And so I like trading, but I treated it as gambling. Oh, I would lose my money. I would refill my account because why? I had a slick job that always afforded me to pay. Every time I lost, I don't care. I put more money in, right? And so if you always have that safety net, and once again, complacency, right? I was complacent with my job. I made a lot of money, but I was bored of my job. I wanted to try this trading thing because I loved it. It was exciting, but at the same time, I was complacent, and I had a safety net, which was my job. My job always afforded me to bail me out of every single bad mistake of a trade. I would lose all my money, refresh it. And so after a while, I was like, dude, so I was up. So this is the days before pattern day trading. So I only, you can have 20 grand in your account and you can still trade. So I would have like 20 grand in my account and I would be up like 30 grand on that account in one day, like 3 hours, but I wouldn't take the money. I was like, dude, this would go up to $1. I could be rich. I could be a millionaire. And then the very same day I went from, so my account had 20,000. So I was up 30. So it had 50,000 in it. The same exact day went up. I ended the day with like 5,000 in my account. So at that very point, I realized, you know what, man, this is stupid as hell. I worked my ass off and I kept refreshing my account. Something has to change. And so now I'm stuck sitting with like my money completely wiped out in my account, holding this garbage stock that went up 300% in one day and then it's straight down. And so what I did was like, you know what, man, I'm going to invest in myself. I realized, so this was a turning point in my life. Before I would dabble in trading, I didn't take it seriously because I had a backup job. So now what I did was like, you know what, I make money every single day and I always blow it on one stock because of greed. I don't take the money and I think it's going to go to infinity and it always comes down and I'm stuck holding the bag. And so what I did was I took money out of my house. This is a dumb thing. I don't advise everybody, but for me, I look back and it's like I was profitable in every single trade except the times where I got greedy and I don't take the gains. So I actually took a mortgage out of my house. So I owned a house. So I took a mortgage out on that house for like 50 grand. But now it's a different story. I have no backup, no nothing, no safety net. If I lose this 50 grand, I lose my house. I'm screwed. You see what I'm saying? So this is the adversity. My back is to the wall. This is rock bottom for me. There's no more playing around, no more bullshitting, right? And so I became very disciplined. Instead of swinging 30 grand up and down, I would take my $3,000 a day and walk because that was my entire nest egg, right? If I lose this, no one's going to bail me out. I don't have rich parents. Everything I worked for, I bought the house, but now I took the money out of the house. And so with that mentality, trading became a serious profession. It was not gambling anymore. Before I was gambling. So once your mindset switches from the fact that, hey, something is gambling. Oh, it's a coin toss, 50-50 to, you know what, man, this is not gambling. You can become the house if you play smart. And so my mentality switched. And so I became very conservative again. And so I started, slowly trading and making money and not doing these wild swings like a gambler would.
That's a crazy risk to take a mortgage out on your own house. I mean, why did you do that? Like, did you need that 50K so bad? I mean, you said you had a good paying job at the time. What motivated you to take that 50 grand mortgage on your house?
Because it was a bet on myself. At the same time, like, I mean, I hate failure. And I was like, you know what, man, I cannot let this be a failure. The thing is this, it's, I had enough confidence in myself to know that, I mean, I'm an engineer, so I take calculated risks. And so I went back to my trades and I examined why I lost. It's not because I didn't know how to trade. It was just because I was too damn greedy. And the greed stems from the fact that I had a good paying job. And so what happened was this. I took the money out, and then I started doing well by taking smaller gains. And so I gave myself, this is a crazy story. So I gave myself a goal. After a while, I was making more money trading than I was my job, right? And so it comes to a point where it's like, okay, you can't do both. You have to choose one or the other. And so what I did was I gave myself some crazy goal, which was 2 times what my pay would be. So in order for me to quit and go full time, I needed to trade and profit and have in my account 2 times what my yearly income would be. So that came out to be $500,000. And so after a few years, and I was like, oh shit, I reached that point. What am I going to do now? So now is another risk. So basically every time I'm doing it, I'm investing in myself, you know? And the difference now is like, you know what, man, I'm going to quit my job and do this, but it's not gambling because, dude, I built my whole life up to this point. And I know I'm not going to throw it away like I used to because I have no safety net anymore, right? I have no job, everything. So I pretty much went all in. I quit my job and I started trading. And so that's how I guess I quit my job. I transitioned from the corporate world by saving money and then using the day trading to make money. Because a lot of people want to quit, but they need to prove themselves first, right? So they need to give. So for me, I say you need to save at least 2 years of your income in order for you to quit your job. Because otherwise you'll be stressed out having to pay bills every month. And you have to be able to prove yourself that, you know what, you can support yourself doing this shit. I want to play football in the NFL, but I'm not good. You see what I'm saying? It's like everyone wants to be a trader, but everyone wants to be a poker player. But you have to be able to be realistic with yourself as well.
For sure. And one thing I found kind of interesting at the start of your response there is you said that you take calculated risks. What do you mean by calculated risks? Would you mind fleshing that out a little more?
Calculated risk is basically not a coin toss. I always look at the failure. If I fail, what's going to happen? So when I quit my job to do this, the only reason I would quit is I said I saved 2 years, right, of trading profits, right? And so, yeah, so what's the harm? I have enough money to live off for 2 years, and if I blow it, I go back to my job. So I always have to have a like some sort of like backup plan. But it's also not a safety net kind of deal. But it's like I worked my ass off to get to this point. But at the same time, it's like I'm not stupid to realize I'm gambling, like YOLO. People say, you know, you only live once, YOLO. It's like, no, that's how you freaking die, dude. If your mentality is YOLO, it's like, what if you don't die today? You live tomorrow. Now you're broke. You spent all your money partying and, you know, and gambling.
Exactly. And just going back to the point before you quit your job, what were you doing at the time? I got a feeling you were working in Silicon Valley at the time. What were you doing there? Yeah,
I was a software engineer doing banking, online banking stuff. Then I moved to New York. Then I did sales for a company, Fair Isaac, FICO score. They do the credit. So like whenever you apply for a loan and stuff, there's a credit score. They invented the credit score, Fair Isaac, FICO score. That's what I did. Yeah, we did some crazy shit. Rules engines, neural network, artificial intelligence stuff. So I worked with a bunch of nerds.
Full on. That's very cool. So walk us through maybe the next couple years of your trading career after you made that jump to go full time. How did you go during those first couple years?
I was doing quite okay. I was very conservative. So I'll tell you the good and the bad part of what I did. So when I did the full flip over, I I traded very small, to be honest. Like each position would be like $5,000, $5,000, $10,000. It wasn't a big position, and I was consistently making money every single day. So when I quit, I was making like $300,000 to $500,000 a year. Just trading very small. I would never lose, dude. I would just freaking make my grind. It'd be like a grind, but I loved it because it was my passion. When I quit this, it was never meant for me to be rich. I never thought I was going to be rich. I just thought, shit, I hated my corporate job. Hopefully, this passion of trading will make a little bit like the same. It's okay if I made less. I never anticipated to ever making a lot of money. But I just loved it so much where I was like, you know what? If I can support myself doing this, I'll be very happy. So for me, it was the passion. It was never about the money. The money, one day I woke up, I realized, oh shit, I had some money. But it was never about the money. I just loved to do what I did. So what I did was I was very conservative because remember, this is all I had. I quit my job, dude. As an Asian guy, you don't quit your job to do this stuff. My parents, everyone called me crazy, called me a gambler. It's like, what the hell, you're a gambler? He's like, they're ashamed of me. And so there was no way I could have failed. If I failed, I'd be the laughing stock. I had to pretty much commit suicide.
That's pretty drastic.
Hey, for an Asian family, that's not drastic. That's the honorable way out.
Right. So, tell us a little bit more about that. What were some of the comments you got from your family, from some of your friends at the time, even some of the people who you used to work with? What did they think about when you told them that you were going full-time into this to be a day trader?
As expected, like gambling. Even today, man. Even today, people say it's gambling. So
do you think that a lot of your friends and family think that you've just gotten lucky?
A lot of them do, but I think after 10 years, they realize, oh shit, he knows what he's doing. And so that was the reverse. So this is the thing that's kind of sucks. So in the beginning, it was like, oh, you're gambling. You just got lucky. One day you're going to lose all your money. You're going to lose all your money tomorrow. Watch. Oh, you didn't lose your money yet? Next week you're going to lose it. Oh, you didn't lose it this year? I guarantee you next year you're going to lose it. And then now it's kind of like, oh, shit. Oh, it's easy. He wakes up and he makes like $1 million a day. Easy. It's easy work. See what I'm saying? So I get the full spectrum. So so basically there's really no appreciation that, hey, man, this is hard work. So I go from it's a gambling. You're lucky it's gambling to, oh, it's so easy for you. You can just do this in your sleep. I was like, no, dude, I got to wake up at 4 a.m. every day and bust my balls, right? And so it's like, I don't know which one's worse. I actually want to go back to the first one, because now it's like, oh, it's easy. When I go out, Bao will pay for it. He'll wake up tomorrow and make the whole paycheck. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not guaranteed. You remember? It's gambling. So now I'm convincing people, because now I'm actually convincing people it's gambling, just so they leave me alone, because they don't ask me questions and stuff, which is a true story.
So one thing which I can't ignore, which you said, we can't skip over this. You said you were pretty much making money each and every day. Like, to some people, that just seems so unrealistic as a trader to make money every day. Like, how were you doing that? Like, how were you able to make money pretty much every day?
So this is what I learned a long time ago. So when I first started trading, I was trading everything. Penny stocks, $100 stocks, all sorts of stuff. Anything that moved, right? Then I realized, dude, man, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I would make money, lose money, but the thing is, I was never proficient or the master of any one little thing. So I realized you have to pick one little area and become the master of it. So I like to call it like finding your niche. So that's kind of like my saying I've been saying for a long time now. You got to find your niche. It may not be pretty or popular, but you know what? You're going to become the master of that one little area and be successful at it. So what I did was I became a bulletin board penny stock. So that was my niche. People would make fun of me. It's like, oh, you're not trading IBM. You're trading what? This weird ass stock for 2 cents, 10 cents? So I have friends that used to do prop trading back then. They would trade $100 stocks, GM stock, and they would just laugh at me. But they don't know how much I made. They would swing up and down 10,000 a day, 2,000, They were never really consistent, right? But I'm just turning my money every day, and so, but at the end of the year, if you don't have any big losses, it adds up very quickly, And so that was my whole thing. I became, so the thing I like to say is like, it's better to be the master of one than the jack of all trades. All these guys, I know how to do everything. Well, I don't know how to do shit. I only know how to do this one thing, but I do it damn well. You see what I'm saying? So in my opinion, that is the best way to make money trading. Pick one area and you become the master. And I happen to pick an area where I don't have to compete with the smart guys. The smart guys are not trading these little stocks. They're trading freaking IBM. These analysts on Wall Street, Goldman Sachs is not trading me. They're fighting Amazon. Why the hell am I going to compete with them in Amazon? You see what I'm saying? So I picked an area where I was like, okay, only a bunch of dumbasses. So I'm competing with dumbasses. I'm not competing with the infinite resources of Goldman Sachs. And so that's why I became successful. I picked an area where not many people traded, and back then it had a lot of liquidity, man. And so I just kept my mouth shut and just worked in my little niche.
Yeah, so I think this might be an interesting point, is you said there that you're not competing with Goldman Sachs on these trades that you're entering into. You're competing with, as you called them, dumbasses. So what difference does it make, though?
It's because no one's really going to overpay for a $100 Amazon stock. You got big funds pushing it down. So for those type of stocks, the price imbalance is not going to be much. In order for you so this is how trading works, right? You take advantage of the price fluctuations. So if a stock is priced too perfectly, it's not going to fluctuate up and down much. And the people that's going to control that stock are the guys with the big, heavy pockets, the funds. And so, whereas if you trade the little stocks, which I used to do, now the SEC kind of shut it down. So it's a kind of dead market now. But So I became the Goldman Sachs of the little stocks. You see what I'm saying? So I can muscle stuff around. I'm not the guys at home who have a full-time job anymore. Who this stock is up 25-50%. Oh shit! It must be keep going up. So they're gonna load up on that stock, go to work, and come home and check their account. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of times they if a stock is up 100%, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to hold it for life. This thing is going to make me rich. And so during the day, the stock tanks. They're not there. They're not selling it. You see what I'm saying? There are no algorithms for them. But Amazon, those guys are there all day long, dude.
So what you're saying is that a lot of the patterns and the market behavior was a lot more predictable and easier for you to read and anticipate, essentially.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
It was you picked the most simple area to do, and you just kind of like and it's unregulated kind of deal. No one's looking at that little shady little area, right?
So the point you're making here about finding your niche and kind of dominating it, how would you suggest other traders think about deciding on their niche?
The thing with me is you have to do it. And then I realized, shit, man, I'm losing my money on all these stocks. And so I got to eliminate trading these stocks. What am I making money on and what am I losing money on? Everyone's different. You can be the master of trading Amazon. I'm not saying don't trade Amazon. For me, it didn't work for me. I have a lot of friends that trade that stuff perfectly. But for me, I couldn't do it. You see what I'm saying? There's certain stocks I couldn't do. But there's certain stocks I excel at. Some people are like, I can't touch penny stocks. I get killed. And so it's not for them. So you have to basically go back to your trades and examine which ones you win and which ones you lose. And I was like, dude, I kept losing it when I'm trading like Amazon. So that just cut it off altogether. I don't even need to bring up the symbol. So basically review your trade. It's very simple. If you go to the casino and you make all your money playing blackjack and you lose all your money playing roulette, stop playing roulette, dude. Unless it's for fun, right?
Exactly. All right, team, just a quick break here. I'd like to give thanks to TradeStation for sponsoring and supporting Chat with Traders. Let's do it this way. Here are the top 5 things I think you should know about TradeStation, right? Number 1, Barron's ranked TradeStation as the online broker best for frequent traders in 2016. 2, with an exceptional platform and analysis tools, TradeStation clients have an advantage that was once enjoyed by professionals only. 3, TradeStation make it possible for you to test and analyze your strategy ideas, and they also support automation. 4, to help you keep trading costs down, TradeStation offer competitively low commission rates on stocks, ETFs, futures, and options. 5. When you need support, TradeStation's licensed brokers are available around the clock. To discover the full benefits of trading with TradeStation, visit tradestation.com and open an account. Again, for more info, simply visit tradestation.com. It sounds like once you went full-time, a lot of it sounds like you almost had it too smooth in some ways. Like you were making money pretty much every day.
That was the negative. So let me tell you the negative and the positive of that.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to get to is like, what challenges did you have? Like, what were some of those greatest challenges you encountered?
You remember when I said when you're too complacent, shit goes to hell and all that? So it was very predictable for me to make my little small money because I never took a chance. I was like, why rock the boat? I'm happy doing what I'm doing. It's working. But the things I realized, you know what, man? Things like this don't last forever. You find a little niche and you take advantage of it. Like you milk the cow. Eventually, the cow's gonna die. So what you need to do is milk the cow for as much milk as you can before the cow dies. And so my problem, I thought, the cow's gonna live forever. So I kept on milking a little bit, and then and then towards the end, I realized, oh shit, man, I'm making money every single day trading super tiny size relatively, right? So once I started upping my size, then it's like, oh crap, the same strategy did work. But by then, everybody else caught on. Everyone started trading it. And then the Wolf of Wall Street movie came out. And the SEC started banning all these stocks, halting all these stocks that saying it's a scam. Then they started, then the market makers saw that I was making too much money and they were losing money from me because I would like kill them in a trade and then they would shut me down. So at the end of my career, what happened was this. I got shut down from most of the routes. They wouldn't let me trade anymore. And the SEC shut down pretty much all of those kind of plays. Those bulletin boards started to come back now, but for a good 2 years, from like 2 to 3 years, it was dead, man. They shut Wolf of Wall Street made it very popular, that movie. So they thought everything was a scam, and so they shut everything down.
What do you mean by the market makers shut you down and banned you from routing to certain venues? What's that about?
So when you trade these bulletin board stocks, these penny stocks, you have to route it to, let's say, a night capital markets or a Schwab or something. So it's not like how it is in NASDAQ. NASDAQ, you have an ECN, which is an electronic system. Over there, you have to route it to a market maker, like NITE, NITE. And so there's no way to go around them. If you want to fill the stock, you have to route to them. And when they really, at the end of the month, they realize their P&L is down, and they're like, "Who the hell is banging me for this?" And so I got shut down. And so, which leads me to this, the biggest trade of my life, which I guess a lot of people like. I guess my claim to fame. I don't know what the word, but this was not what I think is my claim to fame. But so it was Fannie Mae, FNMA. That one day I made 1.5 million in like 4 hours. So after that, the market makers shut me down. I killed Citadel. I raped all their. So basically, in order to get this, I had to basically play against them. So they would show huge sizes, like hundreds of thousands of shares. I would just sweep them all. And they're like, so now they're dead. So basically, so my whole career culminated to this one day, May 29, 2013, where I decimated the market makers. And the very next day, all the algos disappeared from that stock. And then I got banned. They shut my accounts down. And so that was the beginning of pretty much the end of the penny stock era.
How did you know you were banned? Did they just actually close your account, or did they send you a letter? Like, what happened?
They called my broker and they said, you better shut him down before we shut the entire firm down.
And are there any legal, like how does that stack up legally?
See, that's what screwed up, man. This whole, you cannot fight a $1 billion company. If they want to shut you down, they shut you down. What are we going to do? They claim that they reserve the right to do business with anybody they want. And so they say they don't have to even give you a reason why. They never gave me a reason why. They just shut me down.
Right.
So one day I woke up and every single broker said, they shut you down, dude.
So you obviously got to keep your profits.
Oh yeah. I just was not allowed to trade anymore. And so that led to another thing. So I never thought this stuff would end. And so I really never thought about what would happen if this thing was over. And so the biggest day of my life, my career wise, should have been the happiest day. But in essence, I look back and I already told my friend. I told Nate, he runs Investors Live. He told me, dude, this is the worst day of your life. I go, I know, man. I go, you would never hit this high ever again. And so after that day, the whole thing unraveled, and then and I had to find a new niche to trade. So imagine I've been doing this since I started trading, this niche, right? And now it's like the niche has been taken away from me. They shut the whole thing down, right? So then I had to transition to now NASDAQ stuff. So that's but let's go back to people think this was my biggest achievement. I don't think so. My biggest achievement, in my opinion, is being consistent all those years. It's not even talking about the money. I could care less about how much money it was. It was just basically being able to every day perfect a system where, dude, man, it's like a 90% success rate. I'll give you an example. My best year, I only had 8 days, something like that, 7 to 10 days out of 330 days of trading. Only 7 to 10 days where I actually had a loss. I was like 320 wins, 10 losses days. I mean, so that to me is like proves that it is not gambling if you are disciplined enough and stick to your game plan. So I had that niche mastered. Oh yeah, and then that day they took it away. So.
Okay, so a couple things. 90% success rate. When you say a 90% success rate, you're talking about like your P&L at the end of the day, right? Not your actual strategy. Like not every trade you put on.
Yeah. So I mean, I hate talking about success rate, win rate, but I track it like how many days. Yeah, you're right. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I made tons of trades. I made like 500 trades a day. I made like 1 million trades during that time. So, but at the end of the day, as long as your P&L is up.
So when you made $1.5 million in a single trading day, what did that feel like before you got shut down, before you realized you'd been shut down? What did it feel like that night?
So this is how you get to that point. I didn't even freaking know I was up that much. So I was so into the trade, I didn't even look at the P&L. And then when I turned over and I looked at P&L, I almost shit myself. and when I looked at it, that's when I started to bail. Maybe I would have made more if I didn't look at it. So the thing is, like, when you get into your groove, it's not, for me, like I told people, don't believe it. It's not the money, man. If you're passionate about what you're doing, I care less, If you're passionate and you're good about it, the money will come. Don't think about the money. Think about mastering your process, your niche, your work, your passion. You master your passion, and then the rewards will come. For me, trading I never thought I was going to make money. What the hell do I need money? I mean, I'm a very simple guy. If you look at me, I don't, this was just my going back to the kid. Remember when he said, one day I'm going to be your boss and say, screw you. All you bullies are going to regret bullying us. So my whole lesson was kind of like, you know what, man, I was trying to prove to the world I had a chip on my shoulder, and then that's what led me to always try to be the best at what I did.
Yeah. Now you talk about like needing to really love doing what you're doing and have a actual passion for the market. I mean, why do you feel as though you have a passion for trading? Like what gets you excited about trading if it's not just for the money?
In the beginning, it was gambling, and gambling for Asians is very exciting. Things in our blood, dude. For an Asian tradition is this, dude. Asian New Year comes, the whole family gambles. The first thing you do is you gamble. When you wake up, that's what you do on Chinese New Year. It's to gamble. That's the funniest shit. So gambling is part of our whole culture. But I was never a big gambler. I mean, this is how so when I was making a shitload of money, I would go to the casino and I would never bet more than $25 or $100 on a single blackjack hand. I mean, this is how I am. I was like, why would I gamble when I trade for a living. It's stupid it's stupid to be the chump at the table versus being the house when you trade, you know? So that kept me out a lot of trouble when cause my mentality was never like to gamble blindly, but the excitement of trading is just, it's the same thing as when people gamble, but the difference is this is a calculated gambling. I could bet anytime I want. Not when I'm betting like a big hand of blackjack and shit. I have 16. What the hell am I going to do? There's absolutely no control.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who are on the outside of trading have a hard time getting their head around that kind of concept, that a lot of traders actually don't enjoy going to the casino and gambling. You know what I mean? Because they feel as though they genuinely don't have an edge unless they have a strategy down pat. You know what I mean?
Dude, I to this day, I go to Vegas. I don't even gamble. It just freaks me out, dude. I just hate that.
Yeah, I went to Vegas like for the first time, I think like 2 years ago, and I think I spent about $50 gambling the whole like 5 nights I was there. And I don't know if that makes me really strange, but I didn't see the point in it.
Did it make you scared? For me, it scares the shit out of me, man. It's just because I'm a control freak, man. It's not the money. It's just the fact that I'm so stupid. It's like this dude just took my money and I had no choice but to give it to him.
Yeah. You're like, oh man, I could have spent that on so many better things.
Yeah. So
maybe walk us through what happened after you got shut down. I mean, you had to kind of reinvent yourself in some ways. How did you go about that?
So life is full of adversity. So that's the whole theme of this interview. I'm trying to stress. You know what, man? If I can do it, anybody can do it. It has nothing to do with being anything except like, you know what, man? Have trust in yourself. Have a plan. Not be a good person. You know, don't cheat, don't steal, don't do any of that shit. You know, just work your ass off. People beat you up like they did me. It's okay. You are always going to have adversity, regardless of how rich or powerful or experienced you are. So now, once again, I thought I had the whole world in my hand. I mastered this niche. I'm like, damn, I'm going to be filthy rich. This is, you know, like my biggest year would be like 3.3 million. You know, that's crazy doing this shit, right? So that's sort of shit. So I was like doing like 7 figures for a long, you know. So it got to the grand scale where, dude, man, if I could do 3 million a year for fucking 10 years, I'm fucking filthy rich, right? Boom, SEC comes, shut the whole industry down. So now I'm like, holy crap, I've just reached the pinnacle of my career, and they just took everything away from me. So now I have to start over as a newbie. So now I have to reinvent myself, figure out a new niche. So now I started trading NASDAQ stuff. And it's a whole different ballgame, man. I was like, fuck. You know, I used to be the Goldman Sachs of the bulletin board. I'd never lost big trades. Boom. When I started over there, I started taking freaking $100,000 losses. I've never taken that much losses before. My biggest loss trading penny stocks was $300,000. But that was because I was up 3 million that year, so I didn't give a fuck. But which is stupid, but you know. But besides that, I'd never taken these crazy losses like 100 grand. My biggest loss would be like 25 grand, 50 grand. I mean, and compared to how much I was making, that was like nothing, you know. I have months where I was making like $1 million in a month, you know. But anyway, so when I switched over, now I'm like a newbie, dude. Every niche, every different thing you do, you're no longer the master of it. It's like, yeah, I understand the basics of it, but shit, man, in order to know it inside and out and to be able to make money on a consistent basis, you can't just be a jack of all trades, right? You gotta be like, you gotta pick something, a discipline, and do it. So I sent you that spreadsheet where it shows like this loss on Lake, LAKA, for $126,000. I mean, so when I switched over, those are the type of losses I was seeing. So now it humbled me hella fast. It was like, I was like, oh shit, what the hell am I going to do? I'm not fucking good like I thought I was. I came over and I thought, hey, I'm going to freaking be the best NASDAQ trader in the world too. Nope. Rude awakening. So I had to pretty much humble myself, start over, take money out of the accounts, and just make sure I don't fucking blow up. Start with very small positions. And so this is the same thing. You have to build your experience and your confidence. So my confidence was whacked down to nothing. Remember, I came from like a $3 million year to like making like nothing. just starting over, and which is in essence is good. Making nothing is better than losing 3 million. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people like, this is easy. I can switch and do something. I used to be the king of this. I'm going to be king of that. No, dude. You see what I'm saying? You have to be able to humble yourself and say, you know what, man, I am now an amateur once again. I'm a student.
So how did you move on from that point? Like you said, you came over to NASDAQ stocks. You started taking these really big hits, like $100,000 plus losses. What was the cause for that? Were you too cocky? Did you just think your same strategy was going to work in a different market that moves in different ways? What was the root of that?
Because back in the bulletin board days, there was not enough liquidity to get into $1 million of a stock. So to lose like 126,000, I was in like $1 million of that stock. You see what I'm saying? And so basically it's just like, holy crap! I threw the kitchen sink at it, and that thing won't budge.
So how did you go about finding a new way of trading? Like, what did you do? Like, because you said, you're now essentially an amateur all over again. How did you develop a new strategy to profit in this new market?
So, you know what? In my opinion, I am still learning. I never wanted to teach when I was trading bulletin boards, just like I don't want to ever teach now, because I never think I'm a master. I think the moment you think you're a master is when you get dinged, dude. To me, people go, teach me. I'm like, dude, I'm still learning. Same thing was when I was making millions a year. I was like, I'm still learning, dude. And so the caveat is I would always be a student. I would be a student for life. But what I'm doing now is I'm starting over. So now I'm thinking, how did I become so good at trading the penny stocks? So I'm trying to get back into that mindset where, I start back doing smaller trades and figure out trying to find my niche within this new market. Because still, when you say, how did I find my niche? I think I found my niche, but who knows? It's still too soon. The only way I'll know is in another 10 years when I look back, right? Because when you're in it, you really don't know. And so I'm always trying to learn, in my opinion. That's the best way to do it. It's like you stay on your toes and you always try to learn. So I examine what I'm doing wrong. So now I cut off a lot of stuff. I used to trade a lot of ETFs, and I got burned on a lot of that stuff. So now I cut them all off. So it's the same process as before. You find out what the only way to know is to do it, and unfortunately, it's a cost of tuition. I lose these dollars. And you can either think of it as two ways. Think of it as, I got unlucky and I lost $100,000. Or for me, it's more of like, dude, that was $100,000 lesson. That was tuition. And I better make damn sure that I got my money's worth from that education, right?
Yeah. It's an expensive price to pay. So I think what might be cool if we could talk about is maybe sort of the psychology and a bit more about the mental aspect of trading. Like, how do you have the confidence to pull the trigger after a bad trade like that?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. When you're making money, your confidence is off the charts. And you know how it is. When you're confident, you can do no wrong. And then boom, sometimes you get overconfident. There has to be a balance. So when I'm on a crazy streak, I start to get cocky and I go, and I think I could do no wrong. And then that's what happens. So in my opinion, the biggest hurdle for any trader, any experienced trader, is you can make money, let's say 100 days in a row, is that one loss can wipe out your entire year. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much you made before. It's how to control that one loss. And so that was what I mastered before. I mastered before how to immediately just take the loss and not have it affect me. And so, but when you're a novice, once again, every loss you use is kind of like a personal loss. Like, damn, I suck. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you take it too personal. So you gotta be almost like a robot to like. So I call you have to be like I call trading like a reflex. And this is how algorithms and algos they're robotic, dude. Sometimes you have to be robotic. It has to be like a reflex for you to like, I see the situation. Either I go in or I go out. You don't hesitate. You don't think. You don't. Every time you doubt yourself is when you get screwed up. And so that loss I did, I was like, oh man, I don't want that loss. I could have easily taken like $5,000 or $10,000 loss. which is a lot, but it's better than $130,000. And after a while, you're like, so before that would never happen. But when I started new, I was like cocky. I was like, dude, that's embarrassing. I don't want to take that loss. or like maybe it's tricking me. It must be tricking me. If I take the loss, it's going to go my way. Nope. So you make all these excuses in your head. And so what happens is, dude, I wasn't ready for that kind of size to trade. So you have to build yourself up. First of all, it's like everybody wants to get to that next level. Getting to that next level doesn't just mean increasing your size, dude. You need to be able to have enough bankroll to be experienced enough to be able to take the hit, things like that, right? And so a lot of traders want to go quickly. And so my advice to them is, dude, your bankroll is huge. So in order to get to the next size, you better make sure your bankroll can support that. And then when you lose, like, okay, I'll go back to your question, like, it's the confidence. So what I usually do, which helps me, because I've taken a lot of these losses when I switched over. I've never had so many losses in my entire life of this size until when I switched over. I mean, they're like 6-figure losses, like boom, boom, boom. And I don't know how the hell I didn't lose all my money, but I would make it back. But it's like, but the thing is, like, it just kind of like every loss you make, the confidence level is just multiples higher, like exponential, right? It's not just $100,000 you lose. It's $100,000 to like the factor of 10, how stupid you are, and oh my God, like, what am I gonna do now? I lost my money, stuff like that. So how you rebound? Well, you have to start from basics. So I rebound every time I do that. I would rebound by making one trade at a time. Make $1,000 trade. Make $2,000. You see what I'm saying? So have a couple days of green in a row. So I get back to my old routine. A few days of green in a row, then you start to forget, and you're like, oh no, now you become more confident. Then you can increase your size once again. So it's always getting back to basics. After a big loss, always get back to basics. And after a big win, you better be disciplined enough to also get back to basics. Instead of saying, oh, I have a big win. So the problem with winning, to me, is this. It's very dangerous. I know a lot of people who have a good streak and then they just blow up. It's because they always think, I had a good streak. Oh my God, imagine I put in twice as much money. My streak would have been even more huge, right? So now their next trade, they're like, dude, I'm going to double up the next trade because I was right the last 100 times I did this. And then boom, you're dead. So it's all part of the discipline, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to ask you about like the other end of the spectrum about how you handle, large winners and, when you do get on a good run, how you like don't get ahead of yourself in some ways. So, because I think that's equally as important, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. You got to make sure, because when you get on a streak, like I said, man, the one thing is you become cocky. You're like, shit, I should have put more money in that trade. I knew it would go up. Why didn't I put more money? So what I'm going to do in the next trade, I'm going to do a makeup trade. That's the makeup trade that kills you. I'm going to make up for the fact that I was a pussy and I didn't put more money in that last trade that I won. So now I put double the money in. And you know what happens, right? It always goes down. So yeah. So I call it the makeup trade, which is equivalent to the revenge trade. So when you're down, you want to double up so that you can make back your money quicker, right? So that's the revenge trade when you're down. So when you're winning, you do the makeup trade because you're like making up for the fact that you're too chicken to put more money in. But a lot of times I tell people this, dude, it's not trading smaller size can actually make you more money because you can hold it longer. You can be more clear-minded and not be freaked out. Because if you're scared, it means you went in too big. It's like if you get shaken out, it means you went too big. So you have to find the right balance of size. Because a lot of times, like if you were smaller, you wouldn't have been shaken out. Because you're like, okay, I'm still with my plan. I'm not going to go broke. But if you size it way too big, any little deviation in your in your price, you're going to get shaken out.
Yeah. So I mean, here we've kind of talked about how to get the confidence after a losing streak and how to keep a level head when you've got a streak of winners as well. What about when you realize that you're just not trading as well as you normally would? You're not trading at your best. You're just sort of maybe out of sync with the market a little bit. Like you just can't get a good gauge on what's going on and you're just not really getting anywhere. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through slumps a lot of times. The only thing you can do is scale back your size and stop thinking about how stupid or an idiot or like when I trade, I don't think about anything. I just think about trading. It becomes like a reflex for me. The moment I start thinking about money, how I gotta pay bills, or oh crap, what that loss could have paid, I start doubting myself. When you start second guessing yourself like that, is when you're just doomed, dude. Maybe you should just not even trade that day. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. In order to trade comfortably, you have to get your personal life in order. So that's the key thing that listeners should understand too. It's like when your personal life is shit, your trading is gonna be shit.
And when you say personal life, like what sort of things are you talking about? Like your relationship, your job, like
exactly, all that stuff. It's like you're fighting with your freaking spouse, your girlfriend, and then you go back and you're pissed off and you trading. It's gonna affect your trade, right? Or when even if like you don't have money. If you don't have money to pay the bill, stop fucking trading. Get your life in order before you trade. Because if you have no money, it's like entering a poker table and you're the shortest stack. You're gonna freaking lose. Those sharks are gonna kill you, right? So sometimes it's best to like save up and like come to the battlefield with a gun. It's a minimum of a gun instead of a freaking knife. Some of these guys they try so hard to trade. And they're like, oh, I got $400. What the hell is $400? The commission is like $20 already. You're dead. You see what I'm saying? But it's okay if you understand that that's a tuition you paid to learn. A lot of these guys like, I have $1,000, pal. Let's make me rich. I'm going to turn $1,000 into $1 million. Bullshit. That $1,000 is basically your tuition money, dude. You have to understand that he's going to be learning, right? Don't fall for these furus. I call it. So I coined this term a long time ago. So you hear that around the internet? That's me. I coined it. Furu. F-U-R-U. It's basically a fake guru. So you see all these guys selling shit and selling services. I'm the guru. I'm selling you all this crap. And they're like, oh, I turn $1,000 into $2,000. I'm like, dude, I don't know how real or unreal it is, but that's not realistic. That one guy may be able to do it, but you ain't going to be able to do it,
That's funny. I was waiting for you to bring that up.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a basically simple rule of thumb, dude. If you have the secret formula to make gold, why the hell am I going to sell it to you for $100 a month? I had the formula back then for bulletin boards. I had the formula to make gold. I knew the formula. I would never sell it for any price. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, don't be conned by these guys. It's like they can't trade, therefore they sell you this crap. And so so I want to say one thing. I tweeted something right before this thing. Because they're asking like, oh, who are these life coaches? Oh, this guy's a life coach. He teaches people to be successful. I go on his page and he talks about how I used to be broke. Now I'm successful. So I tweeted, I said, reminder to myself, if I ever become broke, I will sell a course on how to become successful rich. That's pretty much what they do. It's like, I'm poor, so I'm going to sell. So I tell these students, like, don't fall for that stuff, man. So I created a site called the Trading Fish. It's M Rock Rules on Twitter, and pretty much I have like tons of tweets, and it was my way to give back on teaching people the basics of trading and how to be there. So M Rock Rules. So basically, people say what maybe one day I'll do a course, but I'd rather do it for free for now. If I ever win the lottery, I would definitely do it for free for everybody.
For sure, and that's I definitely suggest anyone listening to this podcast right now to actually follow. What is it? At MRock Rules, and the rules is with a Z, right?
Yes, with a Z. But it's on my page. It's on my all the information is on my Twitter page, Modern_Rock. So I have that part.
Yeah, a lot of good info. Now, just while we're still talking about psychology here, I know a big issue for a lot of traders is FOMO, fear of missing out. How do you suggest others try and combat this fear of missing out?
Don't worry, I still have that same exact problem. You never have the same problem. The fear of missing out. It stems from greed and envy. Because I'm like, oh shit, man, I don't want to miss out because my friend's gonna make hella money. And then you look at your friend. You see what I'm saying? So all these questions are all personality questions. So like I tell people, trading only a small part of trading is mechanics. I can teach anybody the mechanics of clicking the buy button, the sell button. But the problem you have later on is the mental aspect. When people blow up, it's never because they don't know how to trade. It's because they broke a rule. They know they should not be adding to losers to infinity. They know that they just got to take the loss, or they know that they shouldn't be entering something early because of FOMO. So it's a lapse in discipline, and so it's a mental thing. So when people ask these questions, the only person that can answer is yourself. It's like, why are you entering it early? Because of what reason? So for me, I have a lot of problem where. So for me, an example would be like, oh man, it just sucks if I hear my friend or whoever make all this money and I didn't make it. And I like, damn it, man, I must suck. There's two ways I can look at it. Like, damn, I'm an idiot. Or, I'm smarter than this guy. How the hell he make more money than me? And so that's where all these problems come in. So then the next trade, I'm going to double up on my size. And then, boom, you get hit. Or, I'm going to make sure I don't miss this trade. And then that's the fear of missing out. And you get enter early and get crushed. So, see, it's all psychology. So, shut everything out. So sometimes it's better not to fucking even go on to Twitter, to go online. Don't talk to friends. Just concentrate on yourself. Don't need to ask people how much they make because that's only going to affect your brain too. Be happy with making what you're making. So imagine you're happy making $100 a day. You hear your friends making $500 a day. That's going to really screw your brain up and it'll throw your game off too, you know? And so a lot of times it's like, dude, man, turn everything off. Just focus on yourself. And back when I started, it was really helpful because they didn't have Twitter, didn't have anything like this. And so I think that was another reason why I was successful. I was just basically in my own element, in my own zone, and not have to worry about how much people are making or competing or talking crap about you. You see what I'm saying?
Were there any other traders who you did speak with frequently, though, when you were coming up as a trader?
So I had a really good system. So I needed to teach someone a system. So I don't want to really throw his name out or anything, but he did quite well. He made millions of dollars. So my system did work.
What do you mean by he made a system or you made a system?
Well, I had a very good system of I figured out a certain pattern, you know, after a while. So that's how I made money every single day. So basically I became very good at that one niche, right? And so I needed someone to help me find those stocks. So there's a certain criteria of stocks, certain pattern to look for when you scan. So I've mastered. Back then I could look at a stock and tell you with like 85% certainty if it's going to go up or down, based upon like certain criteria. And so I showed someone how to do this, and so they found the stocks. So the more stocks you find, the more you can make, right? And so I used to I would hold like 10 positions overnight. And each one would make me a bunch of money, and then it adds up, right? I don't need to make much. I hold 10 positions overnight. Each position makes $500. That's $5,000 just off the bat. 5,000 every single day, multiply 300 days. That's $1 million right there, right? Without having to trade.
Okay, so there was no one when you were still kind of learning the ropes on how to, you know, find your way as a trader. There was no one who you were kind of who you could speak to and ask for help and that sort of thing.
I started so long ago. There were none of this stuff. So when I first started, there was this guy, Stock Gappers. And so it was in New York. He used to be my friend. And so he ran a chat room. So that's how I like got into it. He was doing it. So I started doing it. And so I guess, you know, we haven't really talked for a long time. But so that was the one person that started this whole thing. But he kind of disappeared. And you know, so. But really, no. There was no Twitter back then. There's no nothing, dude. So it was just I just did it myself. There's a lot of people that I helped, like Nate. I've known him since he was like 19. There's a bunch of people in his chat room. I was like the oldest guy though, so I started all this stuff a long time ago.
Sure. So I think what might be really beneficial for people who are listening to this podcast is if we can kind of, I guess, summarize some of what we've been talking about and kind of bring it all together, and really drill down into the trader development side of things. So, if you had to start all over again, how would you do it? Like, with hindsight on your side, what steps would you take? Like, think about someone who might be listening to this podcast. They've been keen on trading for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever. They're still in that, I guess, what you could classify as the beginner stage. Where do they go?
The number one thing you should study is charts. Go to like stockcharts.com or something. There's a bunch of like online reading how to read a chart stock, learning resistance, all that. To me, charting is the number one tool when you start out. If you know resistance and support and can draw a trend line, half of your problems are over. So that's number one. Number two is determining what stocks to trade. That's half of the easy part of trading there. It's like there's a bunch of different stocks you can trade. It's like, why choose one over the other? So learning what I can't really help. The only through experience you can figure out like which stocks you should avoid, and like choppy stocks with no trend should avoid. I outline a lot of this stuff on my free tip MROC rules as well. But basically, so there's two things, right? You have to learn to chart, dude. Figure out. So you have to learn how to do a scan. There's a bunch of free scans online you can look. And so based upon that, you can look up the chart and see which stocks are smooth to trade and which one's just choppy and will fake you out. People worry too much about level 2 and all that stuff. It's like over time you'll figure it out. But charting is the most important thing. Learn and read a chart. Don't look at level 2 when you start out. For bulletin boards, level 2 is very important. For NASDAQ, it's not as important. Charting is more important. Together, you need both. But if you start out charting, and basically have some rules you print out, you don't break. Rules are very important when you start out. It helps you from blowing up. So I provide a lot of these rules on my free tip site too. And knowing the right broker to use, because it sucks now because now there's a pattern day trading rule. You have to have 25,000 a day trade. My suggestion is, if you don't have that, is to split up your money. I don't know how much money you have. Let's say you have $5,000. Instead of putting it into one account, you can put it into 2 accounts, and so you have twice as many trades a week, right? Another thing would be, until you get to over $25,000, it's very hard to make money, man, because the fees will just kill you. The moment you make over 25 or get $50,000 in your account, you can open up brokerages where the fees are pretty much free. Like I get rebated for ECNs. Like every time I put an order out for ARCA, I get rebated. So basically, if I get rebated, it's free. They pay me to trade. And then the commissions, so it offsets commissions. So basically, in theory, I can trade for free. Whereas if you have a small account, it'll just nickel and dime you, dude, to death. And then all the money you make is just going to be paying commission and stuff. But like I said, when you start out with that small account, you have to remember it's tuition. And so my suggestion, just like I did when I started out trading, I didn't jump in, dude. I worked my ass off. I went to get a job. I saved. So these guys that want to get started, nah, dude, you have to put in a lot of work before you even get to the point where you can open an account and be serious. So basically, get your life in order. If you don't have a savings, why the hell are you trading, dude? You can learn. Nothing wrong with learning. But get your life in order before you can do this. Like have some savings. You see what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So because that teaches you responsibility. Versus if you have nothing going for yourself in your life and all you have is this trading account, you're going to treat it as gambling because you have nothing to lose. YOLO. You see what I'm saying? And so my advice to everybody is like, dude, go to school. I worked and traded at the same time. I had a job, so you basically got to get your life in order, because I guarantee you don't have your life in order, your trading is going to go down the tubes.
Now, I think this kind of leads on from that point, and I think this is something that a lot of traders maybe struggle to get their head around and think about, and there might be a bit of a disconnect in some ways as well. How would you categorize the major milestones or stages between being a new trader and the level someone like yourself is playing at? Like, someone who's made millions of dollars trading. What are the milestones to get to that level? Like, what are the different stages?
So that's a very good question. So the first milestone is to understand all the terminology of trading. What is a buy order? What's a sell order? We laugh at that, but when I figured it all out, I was like, oh crap, that's a big milestone for me. Another milestone would be charting. Oh, I know I can see a resistance line and a support line. So that's a very good point. It's like education, any formal education, you need to have milestones and mini goals. Don't just say, I want to learn a trade. Well, that's like a million steps between there, right? And so put yourself milestones. Like today, I'm going to learn how to learn support graphs. What's a resistance line? You see that? So charting and all that terminology, and then learning my platform. So I'm an engineer, so whenever I get a new platform, I customize it, I tweak it. I know every single thing about it. And so that's another milestone. So comfortable I can do anything as a flash. Some people just, all I know is buy and sell. No, dude, you need to go and play around with every single button, because that'll teach you like all the stuff about stocks. And the next milestone would be getting, if you're not a pattern day trader, get over a pattern day trader. And for me, a good gauge is this. I created an Excel calendar where every day I would put in my P&L. And green is up, red is down. And so every day, make yourself accountable. Put it in. So your goal would be, I'm going to try to get through this week without a single loss day. You see what I'm saying? So that was how I started doing the green challenge streak I had. And so after that's why I was like, dude, I hated when I was down. So I made sure I would close at the end of the day up all the time. So just being conscious of that and gave myself a goal. I was like, oh my God, I had 5 days in a row of being green. That's a big accomplishment for some people, for a lot of people. So maybe that's something they can try to do. Because once they get consistency, that's the ultimate goal of a day trader. It's not how much money you make, dude. It's being consistent. If you're consistent, you are making money. It's not, my goal is to make $1 million. Nah, dude. Your goal is to be able to have 5 winning days in a row, and the next day you lose, you only lose a day or two of work, or not even a day or two. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to wipe out a year of your gains. So basically, the ultimate goal is to be consistent.
Yeah, I like how you highlight consistency as being something that's like just extremely important. What tips and pointers do you have for someone to try and gain that consistency? Like, is there any key ingredients to that?
Once again, it's your discipline and your rules. Print it out, stick it up somewhere. I blow this all the time. I know I shouldn't be adding to a loser over and over, but and then so I implement a bunch of different things. One thing would be if you're up for a day, just eat the loss and not turn a winning day into a losing day. That could be one of your rules you can have. You see what I'm saying? And then just walk away before you lose it all. Another one could be max loss. Like if I have $5,000, $10,000 a day loss, don't trade anymore. So you have to. Everybody's different. You have to know your own. Like for me, I break all sorts of rules because I was able to get away with it in the past. Which is also the problem when I transitioned to a new niche. You see what I'm saying? That's why I blew up like that, right? So you have to have some sort of rules. So it's like if I taking my own advice, like I would have a hard stop at losing 20 grand. I wouldn't be losing $120,000 that one day. I would calm down, And so you know yourself, and so you have to place upon yourself these disciplines.
Yeah. Now, this is a question I ask quite frequently, as listeners will be well aware of. And I do like to ask this question, so I'm really keen to hear how you answer it. Why do you believe most traders never succeed?
Because they treat it as gambling. There's a couple of things. One is they think it's gambling. YOLO, They have no plan, no system. The stock is up 100%. Why aren't you taking some off, dude? You see what I'm saying? YOLO. Another thing is lack of preparation, So there's this whole reason I told you about the backstory and all this stuff, because it's very important. You have to be a responsible person, first of all. You have to be real. You have to be respectful of money. If you treat this as gambling, you're not very respectful of your money, and you're gonna lose your money. Discipline. A lot of this, once again, comes from personality. See, all is in your person. It's not mechanics. Not because you're stupid. You can be stupid and make a killing in this industry. It's whoever has the most discipline and can stick to their game plan is the one that's going to be successful.
No, that's really good. Well, let's start to wind things down here. Just a couple questions I'd like to ask you. I guess this one's kind of outside of trading. Is there anything you do outside of trading to, grow your wealth, or that you have interests in? Anything else you do? Like, do you do any longer term investing? Do you do real estate? What is there anything which you're involved in besides trading?
Yeah, that reminds me of something very important as a trader in general, and as also someone up and coming. Get a network of friends that are traders. Get some that are mentors that are above, and more importantly, get some that's on your level, so you can discuss how things are going. Have a trading partner, have a trading buddy. I feel that is going to speed up your success, because if you have a buddy who's on your same level or whatever, both of you guys can work together to learn. Okay, but anyways, but yeah, outside of it, in my opinion, trading, dude, man, trading is the hardest freaking industry in the world, because that's the only job I could work for a freaking entire day, and not only do I not make money, I have to give someone money. Even guys like McDonald's will make more money. Even sleeping in will make money a lot of times, right? And so when you have it, you got to save it. So real estate is the best place to put your money, in my opinion. Rent. I don't really want to talk about this stuff, but rental incomes would be like the best thing to do. Okay. But the more thing is save your money.
All right, Bao. Well, are there any final words of wisdom which you would like to leave us with? Is there anything you'd like to add or into what we've already discussed? Take the mic.
Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady. Consistency is the number one thing. Don't get ahead of yourself. Know yourself. Discipline is the main thing. Don't compare yourself to others. That's the worst thing you do. You can see someone with a nice car, and it's passion. You have to make sure you want this for the right reasons. My passion was never about doing this to be rich, get a nice car, stuff like that. If you're doing that, dude, there's so many other things you can do to make money like this without jeopardizing your fortune. Otherwise, you're going to lose. So be passionate. Passion is the number one thing. And be passionate for the right reasons, okay? For me, it was helping my family. Things like that, not just having fancy cars. And I think if you do that, karma will reward yourself, and you work harder. You have a main driving reason. Because if your only passion is to have a nice car, and when things get tough, you're like, oh, screw it. I don't need that nice car. I'm cool with my Honda. You see what I'm saying? Versus, I have to do this because my family's depending on me. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference. You cannot quit when your family's depending on you, but you can quit when your Honda is just good enough for you.
I truly appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome, dude. Thanks, Aaron.
You've reached the end of this episode of Chat with Traders, but rest assured, there are more episodes loaded with real market insight and zero hype on the way soon. So to stay updated with each great new release, subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and we'd love it if you'd leave a rating and review. We'll catch you next time on Chat with Traders.